Hard launch. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Treats on the Streets. My name is Gavin, and today what we're going to be doing is putting this thingy on that thingy. Now, most of you know what this thingy is, but what is this? What this is an E34 steering joint, or U-joint, or swivel joint, whoever decides to call it. But anyways, in order for me to better explain what the heck this thing is and where the heck it's going to go, let's get the car off the ground and I'll show you. Let me show you something. Do you see up in there, kind of next to that motor mount, just past it? You see that? See that thing in there that I'm shining the light on? There's a piece of metal, and then just below that is a rubber donut. That little rubber donut is what we're going to be taking off of the car and replacing with this thing. So the rod from the steering rack goes in one end, and then the other end is the rod for your steering column. And the rubber donut would basically be what this U-joint is right here. So we're going to get rid of the rubber donut and replace it with this metal piece to hopefully make the steering a little more responsive and a little sharper. Because like I've mentioned before, one of my gripes about the E36 is A, the slow steering rack, and B, there's just not as much precision in the steering as I would personally like. So I have read on a lot of forums and stuff that people who just change that rubber donut, or the steering guibo, or whatever you want to call it, out with just a new one, do see a change and do feel it gets sharper because, hey, it is rubber, and as time goes on, it deteriorates, it gets old, it gets flimsy. So if you don't want to go as far as I am with changing it out with a metal piece, you could probably just change the rubber one out and you would feel a difference. But because I prioritize steering feel and I'll get rid of a little comfort for that, I'm willing to sacrifice that. We're going to use the E34 steering joint. And obviously once we get this all done and once it's all finished, we're going to go for a drive through some twisties, and I'll let you guys know kind of what I feel about it and if I think it was worth doing. Now admittedly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before. I really haven't read too much about it, but I feel like it's simple enough that I can just get under there and get going with it and figure it out. So let's do it. As you can kind of see right here, there's a hole right here, and if you twist it again, there's another hole right here. There's a nut and a bolt that go through that, and the same thing on the piece it's on right now. So we basically have to loosen that nut and bolt and take those off and find a way to slide that whole piece out. I might have to unbolt the steering rack to get that done so I can wiggle it just a little bit. Then we'll put this back in. One thing that we have to be careful about, if you can see on this piece right here, there's a bunch of little, I don't know what you call those, splines, little teeth grooves and stuff in there. Those kind of mate up with the little grooves that are inside of there that you can see. So we want to make sure that when we take this off and then put the new piece back on, that the steering wheel, when I hold the steering wheel straight, that the car will still be moving straight. So in order to kind of help with that, what I'm going to do is use this Sharpie to mark both ends, a line on both ends of the shaft, on the bottom end and on the top end. So hopefully when I put this new piece back in, I'll be able to line those up straight and we'll have a straight alignment. Kind of interesting thing that I'm already finding is, if you can tell, there's already a slight curve in that right now. So you can tell it's kind of flimsy and bendy. It's probably supposed to bend a little bit, but I don't know if it's supposed to bend that much. There's the nut right there and the bolt that goes through on the top end, and on the bottom end, same deal you can see right here. So we'll go ahead and take those off. A little update here. We got the old one out. Here's that piece I was talking about, and there's the new one. This flexible rubbery joint is what we're going to be getting rid of. So let me show you guys what it all looks like underneath here with all that stuff off. So here's the one that goes straight up to your steering wheel. Here's the one that goes down to the steering rack. So now all we have to do is get the new one onto these two pieces and then bolt it on. We should be ready to go. In here you can kind of see that there's a dip that goes around the ring of it. There's a little groove in there, and I might have to file on this one so that the bolt can fit through on that little knuckle, the same way that there's a dip here for the bolt to fit through there. It kind of keeps everything aligned, so if you have to do that, no problem, I'll just use a round file and we'll take care of that. Honestly, because I came under here not knowing what the heck I was doing and just was going to figure it out, I'm surprised that I've gotten as far as I have, as fast as I have. So as you can see, I got the new piece on. I put the bottom bolt on because that bottom rod there already has the dip in it for the bolt to go through. The other side doesn't. Let me see if I can get you a good shot. Well, I know you probably can't see through it, but you can see that that rod pokes out into the hole a little bit. Instead of taking this whole thing off again, what I'm gonna do is just stick a drill bit through there and try to drill that out. Probably not recommended. I'm gonna do it anyways. And then we should be good to go. There are torque specs online in case you were doing it yourself. I'm gonna do a little trick I learned from Chris Fix as well, where you essentially draw a little line. I'll basically draw a line on that nut and then on the piece itself, and then I'll look on it again, and if the nut has moved at all, then those lines won't line up anymore. So I'm gonna get on that. Like I mentioned, I tried using a drill bit. That didn't work too great, so then I got this round file and just started doing this, filing it out the center. And now my bolt fits. So let's get that back together. I'll torque everything down and we'll get this car on the ground so we can go for a frickin' drive. One last thing before I get the car on the ground, I wanted to show you what I was talking about because I think this is a pretty important step as far as making sure that this stuff doesn't get loose, because it would be really bad to lose your steering. But you can see right there how I drew a red line right there. That red line extends onto this nut. So if this starts to get loose and the nut twists, the red line won't match up with that one anymore, and we'll know that I need to take care of that. I was going to get some Loctite, but I didn't have any. I wanted to get this done, so if that ends up backing out, I'll check both sides. I did it on both this nut and the other one. If it starts backing out, then I'll get some Loctite and we'll take care of that too. Now let's get the car on the ground and go for a drive. Alright dudes, let's test this thing out. Okay, first thing that's a good sign is when I turn my steering wheel, it turns the wheels. It made me a little nervous messing with my steering just because that's something I've never done before, and it's a really important part, and if you mess that up, you could get into some big trouble. Okay, I can already tell that my steering's just a little bit off. I do have to hold my wheel to the right more than I had to before to get the car to go straight. So what I'm gonna have to do to correct that is just to unbolt those both again, slide one side off, rotate it a little bit, and put it back on. So I'm gonna do that, and then tomorrow we'll have some time to go through a proper canyon drive and really test out the steering to see how much sharper it actually made it, if it did anything at all. Alright guys, we got the steering wheel all adjusted. It is now straight when I'm driving straight, which is what we want. So now I think it's time that we go for a drive and test all this stuff out. So if you guys have watched the last video that I uploaded, which was why I bought an E36 M3 instead of an S2000, a BRZ, or a 350Z, you'll know that when I talked about the BRZ, I said that my favorite thing about that car was the sharp handling. And that because I had driven that car and experienced how sharp it was, that it was hard for me to be satisfied or happy with anything less. And that's why I wanted to do some steering modifications to the E36. So what I was looking for in changing out that little rubber donut with this E34 steering joint was really just a little more precision and response in the handling, in the steering wheel. Now, although at first I didn't know that there was a little rubber donut in there, the steering did feel pretty rubbery to me. Now, I know there are a lot of you who are new, but if you've been with the channel for a while, then you'll know that I like to do a lot of hard driving through canyons and a lot of what I like to call drifting. Because of that, I do value feedback and steering precision pretty high. It helps me to know what the car's doing better, and I feel like it helps me to be a better driver. By the way, if you follow my Facebook page, you might have already seen that I uploaded a picture, well actually uploaded a little video of me talking about and showing that E34 steering joint. So if you like to get the inside scoop and kind of know what's happening before I actually get the chance to film the video and upload it on YouTube, go ahead and check out the Facebook page. I like to put things on there as kind of a little sneak peek about what's coming next in the channel. One more big thing I want to mention just before we get to this spot. If you haven't noticed, we hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel. Now that may seem like a pretty small number compared to a lot of big YouTubers, but it's a big number for me. So for all of you who have subscribed, for all of you who watch my videos, a huge thank you. And yes, we are going to be doing a 1,000 subscribers special video, so stay tuned for that coming up soon. I really appreciate all of you guys who watch my channel. I create all this content for you guys, so thank you so much for all the support that you guys give.
and things are only going to start getting better from here. We're going to hit some proper twisty roads and give this thing a good test so that I can really get an idea if this work that we did, this short little modification, actually did give me any benefits. So here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, first thing that I notice is that turn in happens faster, it happens quicker. Well, I feel more connected to the tires through the steering wheel. What that means is that when I throw the steering wheel in to turn left or right, that feeling that I get when I do that is just more crisp. And what I mean when I say that I feel more connected to the tires, it's just that, man, before there just felt like there was some rubberiness in the steering column. So when I would turn the wheel, I felt like the tires had a little bit of movement in between them. I could just tell that there was a little bit of disconnect between the steering wheel and the tires, and that feeling is gone. It's gone away. Yeah. I'm just not a big fan of any rubbery feelings in the suspension or in the steering at all. I know that means that there's less comfort, but I don't care. Yeah. Okay, another thing I notice is that when I am mid-corner and I'm feeling bumps and things like that, I do get better feedback. Whoa, big old jet flew above me. I do get better feedback about the imperfections in the road or just the conditions of the road. I like that feedback. Anytime that I can do anything that makes my connection with the car stronger and more natural, I get just a more raw feel with the connection with the car, is a good thing. Oh man. Yeah guys, it's just so much sharper. I know with the E36, with these M3s, they're kind of meant to be more touring cars, and no matter what car I buy, I always kind of value performance over comfort, and that's why I'm willing to do these kind of modifications. Now this one was cheap, only 35 bucks. So if you have the time, which is only like an hour and a half probably, and the $35, I think it's definitely worth it to do it. Oh yeah, that was a good launch. Okay, so if you do any type of driving like drifting, or especially if you do autocross, I think this is a must for modification. So it's going to help you place the car better, it's going to help you hit apexes better, and things like that, just because you do have better control when you have better feel. Yeah, man. Okay, so even when I'm just driving around normally, I'm not really hitting it hard on turns. These little adjustments, just the small adjustments in the steering wheel, they do more. So it's no secret that the steering rack in the E36 is a little bit slow. But by sharpening up the steering, it just kind of, I mean, obviously it didn't change the steering ratio at all, but it does respond to minute adjustments better, just makes the car feel sharper overall. Just in daily driving, when I'm not doing any type of hard driving, I can still tell that there's been an improvement. And to me, that's a good thing because that's what I'm looking for. So if I were to say, what are the top 3 things that I've done to this car that have made it more fun to drive as far as handling goes, I'm going to say that number 1 was probably the coilovers. Number 2 was probably the sway bars, just adjusting those stiffer to give a flatter handling profile. And number 3 has to be this little E34 steering joint. Let's see what happens when I do a little bit of kick on the clutch. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is pull over, give you guys a little POV drive, and take you with me on this little canyon road and let you guys have some fun with me. So come along. Here we go, boys. Oh yeah. Here comes some good curves up here. Okay, the harder I push the car, the more and more I can feel, and the more and more I appreciate the steering change from this little E34 joint. Oh, it's that little sign right there, little speed limit sign. Made me think it was a cop. Woo! All right, let's cool down a little bit. All right, guys, I want to thank you for joining me on this little install and test today of the E34 steering joint. I like doing things like this not only because it helps me understand and get to know the car better, but also because if you guys are looking to do kind of the same thing, I'm able to kind of provide a review of these things so that you can get an idea of what to expect if you want to do them yourself. Now, do I recommend doing this? Well, if you're looking for more precision and control in your handling, then absolutely. But if you don't really care about that kind of a thing, then it's probably not going to really be much of a benefit to you. Now, if you're new to the channel and this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, give the video a big thumbs up. If you want to see more trees on the streets before you guys go, you can always click these 2 videos here, and I will see you guys in the next one for the 1,000 subscriber special. Thanks again, guys. See ya.